Pregame.com.
Thursday baseball action. We've got Cleveland at Tampa. It's an afternoon game. VR, this is going to be my pick, but I'm going to jump in here and let you lead it off, and then I'll tell you why. Because the play I'm going to give is going to be a little surprising to you when we get to it.
I'm going to tell you what, this is an interesting series, and the entire American League is, to me, intriguing right now because they're all battling for position. I mean, you have 80% of the league that is more or less aligned, because I wrote a blog post about this yesterday. When the second half starts, I like to make lists and put these teams under lists and change them every week, as in a team's motivated, a team quit, a team brought up young guys, you know. And it's so hard to do in baseball because they play 162 games, and it's the one sport where early on I'm afraid to lay chalk, because you can't isolate motivation and can't really determine it for every game. Sometimes a divisional game is going to matter more, a primetime game is going to matter more, revenge is going to matter more, but it's not like football where after 4 games, 25% of the season's gone, so you're going to bring it every game. But now in the American League, we have that, where these teams are playing for something.
Well, with the wild card, it's going to change a lot of things.
Exactly.
Obviously, everybody's still alive, but one of the things that, you mentioned there, and I didn't want to jump in and break your train of thought, but you said about, teams bringing up young players and stuff. Every September, the roster goes to 40, and we'd have all these teams that would, start looking to next year. Well, with the wild card race, it's going to change that, because a lot of these teams that would have been out of it September 1st are still going to be in it, and it's going to be interesting to see how these managers use the young players that they bring up. So it's going to be a different handicap, and that's something as we get closer to September we're going to have to look at. But for this game right here, everything I'm going to tell you, we've got Jimenez pitching in this game against Price, and I'm not going to be able to tell you anything good about Jimenez.
No.
But yet I'm going to turn around and take what's going to surprise you. First off, Cleveland struggles against left-handers, against Tampa. Price, very solid left-hander. Jimenez is pitching in a day game. This guy has gotten lit up in the day games. And last Saturday, he pitched against Toronto on the road, day game. I had a big play on him.
I remember
just
that
for
was
that
your big one, the early game.
Yeah, it was like, they jumped out 11-2, and then I had to sweat 11-9 game. But his ERA in the daylight, 6.09. His ERA on the road is 6.49. So in his last start, he only went 2 1/3 innings, gave up 8 runs. So you're going to say, well, he's licensed to get lit up again because it's a road game, it's a day game. Tampa Bay's going against them. Let's just line up and take the over. I'm not. I'm going for the under, and here's why. As bad as Jimenez has been, and early in the year, I even had this conversation with Brian Leonard because he's a Cleveland guy. I said, Jimenez is causing me problems because every time, he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr.
Dude, the guy was a stud for Colorado.
He is, and I would line up to take against him in these road spots, but what was happening is I would step in for one, and then I'd go right back against him. When he has a bad start, this guy bounces back. Listen to this. May 27th, he gave up 7 runs in 4 innings. The next start, he came back, went into the 7th, gave up only 1 run. Then on June 16th, he had a 6-inning stint, gave up 4 runs, and to me, a gem is 3 runs or less.
Yeah, me too, exactly, going 6 innings.
Right, so giving up 4 was not a quality start. He comes back in the next start, goes into the 7th again, and no runs. And then he did it a 3rd time. June 27th, 6 innings, 4 runs. Next start, goes into the 8th, only gives up 3 runs. Because he got shelled in that last game, I'm going to look for him to come back with a good outing.
A nice bounce back.
Bounce back outing from him. And we already said that Cleveland has trouble against left-handers, so they're going against Price. So I don't see a lot of runs being scored here, and I think we're going to get an inflated number because of that
Jimenez. Yeah, exactly. And when you look at his ERA, it's up over 5. I mean, here's a guy that he confuses me too, Marco, because he had so much talent early on in his career. And sometimes you see glimpses of that. Like you said, the 7 innings, no runs.
Right.
But when you look at his stats, he averages almost 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he averages 5.5 walks as well. So if this guy doesn't put people on base. I mean, I could see it definitely staying under. And why I lean that way as well is when you look at Tampa Bay, even though without Longoria, they still have bats in that lineup. You know, you got Upton, Payne, Zorbis. These are guys that could hit the baseball. But they're 19th in runs scored. They're 28th in batting average. The only good thing they do offensively is steal bases. And if Jimenez walks guys, you know, they're prone to get in scoring position. That's the only thing. If he keeps his walks down, I definitely see this game going under because of the fact you will get value. This will be a little inflated, even with Price, who's, you know, a lights-out pitcher. He's as good as it comes for Tampa Bay.
2.25 ERA at home. Ironically, in day games, it's also 2.25 ERA. You talked about Toronto in the run, or excuse me, Tampa in the run scoring. 7 of their last 10 games, they've scored 4 runs or less. 6 of those 7 games were 3 runs or less. So this team's not scoring a lot of runs. And all of that together, and if we get that inflated number, I'm hoping for 8.5. I still like it at 8.
Right, right. But get that extra half.
Because you got to get to 9.
Yeah, yeah.
But at 8, you've got to push. I like this as the under, or say you got to get to 9 to lose.
What do you think of this sign? Because I'm starting to like this Tampa Bay team. They're now in second place. In any other division, they'd be a lot closer than 9.5 games out. But the Yankees are so far ahead. This team's playing for a wild card right now. But they're 26-22 at home. And that's rare for them. This is a team that usually has such a strong home field advantage. And I think they're going to start winning some games at home. This is one of those games where I wouldn't be afraid to lay some chalk with them. You know, I think Price is going to be overvalued more times than not. But when you look at the matchup of pitching, and I like to look at those, you know, baseball prospectus, which says what a player's worth in wins. And Price is worth 1 win to his team, where Jimenez is worth 1 loss to his team. I mean, that's day and night when you compare these two. I think pitching matchup, you have an edge with Tampa Bay, but you expect a good game for Jimenez. So this looks to me like a good Tampa and under spot.
It does. Tampa, my only concern with them, why I don't like to take them in chalk situations.
That's the problem.
Is because even on their best days, right now, the way that team is built,
they're not scoring enough. And you're right. And when you're 26-22 at home, you can't lay 150 and turn a long-term profit.
You know, and I don't like to lay, you know, the chalk. I'll tend to look at teams and lay the run line, but with a team that's only scoring 3 or 4 runs, laying a run line's not an option.
Finally, are both these teams motivated right now? Equally motivated?
Tampa Bay, even though they're 9.5 games out, they're motivated because they're right there for the wild card. They're in the, you know, they're right in the mix of it. And like I said, the Yankees are just playing at a different level right now, which absolutely amazes me with all of the injuries.
They're overcoming anything.
You know, so they're going to be you know, tough to catch. And if it wasn't the extra wild card this year, you know, you would worry about it. Cleveland, they're a team that, just like last year, played very well in the first half. At some point, when reality starts to set in, you might see that fade.
And it's a lack of talent because they don't have injuries to deal with. I think it's a factor. This is a mediocre team at best. When you look, they're 22nd in Major League Baseball in run differential. They have a negative run differential. So even though they're above 500, this team has allowed more runs than they've scored. So they're mediocre at best.
And the problem with them and if you look at it, they do score runs. This is
a team that can put 12 runs up on the board.
But their problem is they don't have the pitching. Their pitching is too up and down.
28th
just like we
in ERA in all baseball.
With, you know, Jimenez. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know, and I'm going to buck what's going to look like the obvious play. I'm going to take the under. And I'm making it the best bet. And we forgot to tell our producer, we'll see how fast he can do it because he's good, but it's under 10 is going to be the coupon for the best bet this week. Just use under 10. You know the drill, VR. You put that coupon code into the shopping cart. You'll be able to get $10 off your order, and if the package happens to be $10,
drinks on the comp like Vegas.
Yeah, like you get all the
Vegas
time.
comp picks at pregame.
You should just, you know,
$10.
You should get that tattooed on your arm. Comps, because you get more comps than anybody I know.
Work the system.
Right, he's Vegas Runner. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be right back with another video here on pregame.tv. We're going to look at a big series.
What a game.
White Sox, Detroit, and a great pitching matchup. PV versus Verlander. That's up next.